Hi, welcome to the Undiscovered Worlds Podcast. First time ever doing so. Welcome, listeners, to it. My name is Michael DeConza, and here we're going to talk about basically games, the industry, but mainly focus on sometimes indie studios, anything of game-related topics as well, trying to eventually have some interviews with other people on top of that, and really just shine a bit of a light on my passion in the industry of games. I grew up playing a lot of games when I was little and stuff like that as I got older, but just really I cherish and respect the industry in that way, and I would like to just express that and go from there and talk about it as not just that is just games isn't not just about entertainment and just pleasure. There's a lot of things that games are. Today's episode we'll be talking about how games is a work of art, and can't games be art if we talk about painting, music and film is fine art? Why can't games be talked about as fine art as well in that lens? So to me, what is art? Like, art to me is not just about visuals, it's about the emotion, the sound, the story, the interaction that it makes you feel when you see it, and games have that in that way. Talk about sound, audio, visuals, story, interaction that you have. You see work of art on the wall and you got to think about how does it make you feel? How does that art make you feel with that way? It's like games do that as well, but they actually make you live in that world of the art and how you interact of that world. How does it make you feel as you do that, make all that reality for you to make you feel a certain way that they perceive. And it's just, it's just a different way of seeing it in a different perspective and a different light. One of the games that I think is a good representation of fine art as visuals is an indie game, The Master Pupil, that was released in July 2023 from Pat Noam. If I screw up any pronunciation or stuff like that, not really good with words, so that's just what it is. I'm sorry for that, and we'll go on from that. Well, his game basically took him 7 years to create because the entire game was hand painted. Every asset was on his canvas with fine paintbrushes, and that takes a lot of time. Even little things here and there, background was, little details here and there, every little thing that you see in the game was actually hand painted before putting it into asset form, so then he could use it on his game. So he basically made his game in the character sees the eyes of Claude Mount, the artist that modeled life for sure, of his struggles and his challenges that he has in his life, but you see it through playing the game. It's no storytelling, it's just visuals and seeing and problem solving. It's a puzzle game, platform puzzle game. You do some puzzles, color mixing and stuff like that. So I think it's really a big dedication to stick to that and publish that and make that, because it's not like it's a big deal. The game is as well. It's a bit of a statement. Hand painting a game, you don't hear about that a lot, and he really wanted to emphasize his art in that form, but also through games as well. So basically, it's a big deal in that way because some people just visually make it, and it's a bit more easier to deal with. And like if he messed up painting, it could change up a fair bit of stuff. Just had to roll with what he had after he finished a big masterpiece of the background. Probably took him a while, I'm not too sure. But if you want to find out some of his paintings as well, I'm pretty sure he's got TikTok, so go have a look at his videos. I think they're really good to look at from his perspective as well. So I think that is a good way of understanding how art visually is shown through game. This is a good example for one. It's like I said, language free. There's no storytelling you at all. Like, characters talk about stuff like that. It's mostly based on visuals and sound to capture the storytelling of his game in that form of art. A big job doing that, and good on him for doing that. The other topic I want to cover is perspective as like art for game as interactive. Super Paper Mario on the Wii. For sure, a 2D platform Mario, really, and this one version that you were able to change from 2D to 3D in some scenarios which could see the world different ways. So to interact through the levels and stuff, you had to change your perspective of the character. So you had to change between 2D to 3D to get through the levels, which changes the perception of how you see the world in that way. And I think that was a good way of showing how perception is form of art in that way. Fizz, like I said, sorry for pronunciation on that, which came out in 2012. Basically, it's a cube-based 2D platform game that emphasizes on the rotation of the world in cubic, like just spin the world as you solve the puzzle. It is obviously perspective again. It changes of how you see the world and how you interact with it. So like I said, in this way, it reshapes how you see the world as well, how you interact. It gives people different, like, thinking about what happens if the world looked like this. You got to think about heads and stuff, think ahead and that in that same way. So, Echo Chrome, 2008 on the PlayStation 3, pretty sure, was based on using the inertia inspired illusions. Basically, the character was kept walking and stuff like that, and you had to rotate the world to make him finish his path. So you had to join up the path to finish the level, and there's certain ways of going around it, and how you move the camera. The levels look completely different as you turn the camera. So, but it never changed. It was just the perspective, how you saw the platforms and the levels and stuff like that. It was very interesting to have a look, how they done that. And it was really a good way of showing how illusions can be used like through games just from perspective, really. And the other one that we have got, the last one, well, the Momentum Valley on 2014 came on the App Store. It's an App Store game. I'm sure everyone heard about it. And basically just solve puzzles, changing the worlds, rotating some puzzles on the world and stuff like that as the player goes through, and that you tap the player to finish the levels and stuff. It's very similar to last game we talked about. However, you're not really rotating the camera. You're just interacting with the world, changing how the world looks like with movements and perspectives and stuff like that. And they've made games continuously from doing that because they believe it was good success. So that was number one. Number two came out. Number number 3. Pretty sure it's out now. It's a London studio developer game. And it was a very simple world. It looks very simple. It doesn't look too stimulating. No, so very minimalistic scenarios, just simple. People just the players do not just have to observe perspective, they actually have to use it to interact with the world. So we got monochromatic art styles in game. So basically, I know what the word means. For other people that don't know what the word means, it's basically limiting your color palette to one color or a very small palette really of colors. And so basically black and white would be one, having all shade and just one color, like red, blue or yellow, simple, just very minimal colors rather than the handful of colors it used to be. Games used to be designed by this palette. Games were developed in this palette before the color came in, but games have been using color ever since. But however, there's have been some studios have decided to still use a small palette to emphasize the strong mood and emotion, focus on the character, the shapes and the contrasts and the movement. It really brings the depth for their game. If that's what they're going to, it's really good for horror, storytelling, emotional, and it's good form of doing that. Some of the games that we've got on the list, we've got that I've wrote down for good examples are Mad World, Limbo, Black. They're some of the ones that do a good job of it. So Mad World is basically one of the first games in that year because that year color came in for sure. So it was basically, it's a graphical novel violence game. It's an action-packed one, so it's very brutal. I'm pretty sure some countries banned the game after it came out because it was on the Wii, which is a family-oriented console, really. And this was not a very family-friendly game to play around your little ones. So, yeah, it really made you feel like very graphic when you were obviously attacking your enemies, doing missions and stuff like that, damage it and stuff like that, because the world was black and white, and then you throw a punch and there's blood that goes everywhere. So it really pushed the violence aspect in for this game to make you feel like it's very gory, very graphic, very intense moments in that way. It was very brutal. Then we got Limbo. Everyone's probably heard about Limbo. If you're into games, I'm pretty sure most people know. So it's a 2D platform puzzle game with horror elements in it, which, being a black and white game, it really makes you feel like the world is intense and the atmosphere is building up. They use minimal sound and ambient sound to really emphasize on the eerie atmosphere in their game to push the horror aspects. The black and white stuff would also Black. Sorry if I pronounce these wrong. Came out in 2023. It's a storytelling game about a fox and a deer that lost their herd, and little ones team up together. It's more very emphasized on a co-op game, but you can play it single player. There is no storytelling. It's just doing the world, playing the world, and going through that really to juggle what they're being and stuff like that. The game is in black and white, contrast really, black and white. Sure, the fox is black and the deer's white. Some on text, black and white, some on art, and it's a really cozy play game, little puzzle game, as well as adventure puzzle game, really. I think if you don't want to be so like horror theme or graphic, but you still want to use the black and white, you can use black and white as a emotional softness. This is a good example of it in this game, where it just, touches your heart a bit more because you're not so distracted by all these blaring colors on your screen and stuff like that. It really just makes you feel a bit more emotional compared to some other games where you get lost with all the visuals and colors and stuff like that. Basically, limiting the colors often strengthens the developer's message or the artist's messages that they want to perceive to the player or the audience in that way. I think it does a good job in that way. The next one we're going to be talking about is physical, like the physical world, this physical feeling of games, really. So basically, board games, card games is the physical, really. You're full on interacting with the piece and meant to play it, meant to hold it, meant to feel it, touch it, the weight, materials, how does it feel, how do you interact with it? There's a lot in that way. Good examples that I believe that was well known is your chess. You got all those little ridges and stuff like that, wooden pieces, chess set. It's a game that's been around for a very long time. Everyone knows it. And it's fine art, really, how those little things were back in the day made out of wood, but handcrafted. And stuff like that. You see some metal, glass. So visually, they look really appealing. Some chess piece boards and stuff like that go for a lot of money because they are very beautiful pieces of art in that way as well. So I think chess is a good game to play. It really keeps your mind sharp, stuff like that. I think it's a good example of physical modeling, how artists, woodcrafters really made wood chess sets because they were only so small and you can feel all the ridges and stuff like that. Really need fine art in that way. Everyone knows, really. And you got the colors, the bright colors, and then how the person made it basically. I think he made it to cause a bit of chaos, a bit of havoc, because everyone who obviously make your own rules, they're big, chaotic. If they people fight, bickering, laugh, it's really more of a atmosphere playing card game around families and friends. It captures what it's like to basically lose the plot sometimes. I think it's a great fun game as well. So the next one we'll be talking about was also card trading games as well, collector cards, really. So the illustrations, the drawings, the colors, the rating systems of Pokemon cards and Yu-Gi-Oh cards and stuff like that. It is an art, and people will trade art, really, in this form. I've collected some Pokemon cards over the years. I've got rid of some, but I've kept one of my favorite cards, which is the Reshiram gold card. I'll show the camera, but, I'll talk about it. But, sorry for the bad lighting. It's a secret treasure collection. It's part of the series card in black and white. I think Lost Treasures, that all series nearly do that. I'm not sure if they still do it now. I'm a bit out of touch. But yeah, that's my card that I kept because I think I like it and it's one of my special cards. And I think it's a real work of art doing that and illustrating, writing them, collecting them, and it's really, it builds community as well. A lot of people do trading. So basically the takeover for this was, how art could be so physical. You can hold it, you can touch it, you can see it, you can feel it. Same with visuals at the start, but this will emphasize on actually feeling it, touching it, moving it, interacting with it. So the next topic I want to talk about is basically storytelling. Games that are developed from Telltale Games, which are adventure story choice options, because that is a form of art in that way. They really heavily emphasize the story and the characters they're building and pushing that towards their form of art in their game. And Telltale, I know them really well because I thought like all their games, that's what like people called them, games Telltale Lie. I just use that terminology because that's the first games I played of adventure games in this way, narrative adventure, I should say. You got The Walking Dead that they made, the Wolf Among Us, they got Batman Telltale series, and then Tales from Borderlands as well. They made a lot of games as well, and then they sold because of bankruptcy, and then someone else bought water. But OG Telltale games was really good as well, and some are still okay from the new franchise. I haven't played any, but I played the OG. Some of them, they were really good. Another good example is Life is Strange from 2015. That's a good game in that way as well. Saw some YouTube videos about that. That's a good one. It's really good. They emphasized on characters, building, storytelling, decision choices. You got to really think about what decision you're going to make next and what's going to happen. Consequences are made, and it really makes you build your world in that way of choice decisions as well, because it's like, this is the world I'm interacting with. This is the world I see. This is the world I'm going into. And I choose that. Detroit Become Human on PlayStation. That was a good one. I enjoyed that one as well. And then the new game Dispatch that was released. Getting some real good ratings, that one, that I want to be able to play that soon as well, which will be good. And yet, narrative design drive games is just really fun to me to play as well. I enjoy it. I'm sure a lot of people will enjoy it too. In that way, there's some moments you go back and you play and you try and do the other decisions as well. So you try and see how the world is in that way, and that you keep playing them sometimes and replaying them because there's multiple scenarios that could happen in one event. There could be three different ways from one decision. We got one decision and then you got three different outcomes, which could also lead to different endings. So it's really good in that way that you can have a bit of replay moments on this. So the next one we'll be talking about is sound, how it is seen as an art and mechanics and stuff as well for games. Stifled was one from 2017, where basically the audio mechanic is actually part of the world and comprehends with the game. So you got to use your microphone with this one because it interacts with the game. It's better to play in VR for the proper full experience, for the echolocation. And so basically once you can't see much of the world, but as you make sound, you can see the world send is like echolocation. So sounds come out and you see waves, you see the world, and then as the sound drops down, the world goes away again. So are you going to make sound to see the world, but then people can also see you as well. So you got to be mindful how much sound you see and remember where you're going from for the player in that way, and really makes them think about sound in a different lens. Yeah. And the other game that does do that from echolocation is Dark Echo. It's no longer on Steam. It came in 2015. Obviously, if you want to find that, you have to look on the web, bit more research and stuff, where to get it and stuff like that. It's also based on echolocation, but it's more of a 2D game. Bird eye view. You got little feet that you see, you walk around, And as you walk the path, you make sound, the path lights up. You can step to burst light out. You got little red lines that are enemy. You got to avoid them because you will perish in that way. And it's a little horror puzzle game. Got to get through the levels and stuff like that. I think it does a good way and emphasizes on that. But you don't need to plug in your microphone if you don't feel better comfortable and stuff like that. But it still has a big atmosphere in that way. And so I think it does a good job showing how audio is being used as a core mechanic and art at the same time because it's using their visuals because of the sound is sent in out. So they're good in that way. Another game is Unheard and that came out in 2019, where you basically listen to a crime scene event of listening audio by room to try and work out what happened and who's who. You gotta listen really well to work out. It's basically mystery crime puzzle game in that way. And you got audio, you got to walk into the rooms, like moving the character, clicking into different rooms, seeing the characters, listening, pairing the names and stuff like that. You got to work it out. But it's showing how audio is a big part of their game in that way. It's more their main mechanic. Without it, it just wouldn't work really. And the last game for sound is the Veil Shadow of Crown, which was released in 2021. Basically, it's a full audio adventure, action adventure game based medieval time with fantasy narrative. You don't see anything. You obviously got to listen out for the world and how it all interacts and stuff like that. Makes choices and pretty sure you have to try and dodge and parry by listening, so you don't see anything. You just close your eyes, and you really feel like you are the character living the lives in there. It's a game that I haven't really seen before. Stuff to do. I haven't played it, but I've seen what it really is something different that games normally are. You normally have a little bit of visuals. This doesn't have much visuals of whatever it is. Yeah, you see a little bit of stars and stuff like that. I think if you were looking something for a bit different, I think you would give that a go and see how you go. They do get some awards and stuff like that. You can see on their Steam page and stuff like that where the game's listed. So the take-home pay for sound is not just the background. It's their main mechanic. It's their form of work, their artwork, really. So today we covered some visuals of art, perspective, physical interaction, narrative adventure games, and sound. What we sorry, is what we covered in that way. What is art in games? So basically, I see art in games as the world that they design, they interact and stuff like that. All of them, what I listed in the games as I talked about, they do correlate, they do mix, they do have certain things or some others and stuff like that. The other one was color, eliminating your palette, sorry. I think they do a good job of showing different ways of showing art other than just visually having beautiful game and stuff like physically like visuals. I wanted to elaborate on just more than that, really, because I think there's multiple layers of how games is a work of art in multiple areas other than just visuals. And the thing is, just the people that make this, they really do it for a passion in this way. And so I think it's really important to show dedication, appreciation, and about that, because it's their hard work, it's their passion. That's what they do. They love, whether it's code, paint, sound, or cards passing around the table. Games are art because they are made by people for people, really. So that's what I basically think. And thank you for tuning in and listening to the Undiscovered Worlds by Michael Gonza himself. First time episode. Stay tuned for episode 2, where we will be talking about mods, really, in games and how they communities, and it just keeps on the games. So we'll be talking about a bit of mods and stuff like that for games. Stay tuned. I will talk to you next time. Bye for now.